Lulu and the Brontosaurus by Judith Viorst, illustrated by Lane Smith. Introduction. Okay, all right, you don't have to tell me. I know that people and dinosaurs have never lived on Earth at the same time. And I know that dinosaurs aren't living now. I even also know that paleontologists, folks who study dinosaurs, decided that a dinosaur that was once called a Brontosaurus, a very nice name, shouldn't be called Brontosaurus anymore and changed it to Apatosaurus, a kind of ugly name. But since I'm the person reading this story, I get to choose what I read, and I'm reading about a girl and a Brontosaurus. So, if you don't want to listen to this book, you can close it up right now. You won't hurt my feelings. And if you still want to read it, here goes. Chapter 1. There was once a girl named Lulu, and she was a pain. She wasn't a pain in the elbow. She wasn't a pain in the knee. She was a pain, a very big pain in the butt. Now, Lulu was an only child, and her mom and her dad gave her everything she wanted. And guess what? Lulu wanted everything. Tons of candy, tons of toys, tons of watching tons of cartoons on TV. And if her mom and her dad ever said, and they hardly ever said it, "Sorry, darling, we think you've had enough," Lulu would screech till the light bulbs burst and throw herself down on the floor, and then she would kick her heels and wave her arms. And pretty soon her mom and dad would say, "Well, just this once," and let her have whatever it was she wanted. Chapter 2. 2 weeks before Lulu's birthday, she announced to her mom and her dad that she wanted a Brontosaurus for her birthday present. What did she say? What? A Brontosaurus? Yes, she wanted a Brontosaurus for a pet. At first, Lulu's mom and dad just thought she was making a little joke, and then they saw, oh horrors, that she was serious. They patiently explained that a Brontosaurus is a quite enormous dinosaur who lives in forests, not in people's houses. Is that where a Brontosaurus would live? In a forest? I'm afraid that I'm not absolutely sure. But since I'm the person reading this story, I'm putting this Brontosaurus in a forest, along with a lot of other wild beasts that I'm absolutely sure did not live on Earth when dinosaurs were there. Anyway, Lulu's mom and her dad continued explaining to her, although a Brontosaurus is into eating plants, not animals, including human animals like Lulu, and although it is cute in a long-necked pin-headed way, it is much too huge and too wild to be a good pet. A dog, a cat, a goldfish, a bird, a gerbil, a guinea pig, yes. A Brontosaurus? Definitely no. Chapter 3. No? Her mom and her dad were telling Lulu no. Lulu wasn't used to hearing no, and she really hated hearing no. To show how much she hated it, she screeched and screeched and screeched till all the light bulbs in the living room burst. "I want a Brontosaurus for my birthday present," she said in between screeches. "I want a Brontosaurus for a pet." "Well, maybe we could get you a nice pet rabbit," said her mom, or even, said her dad, a nice pet rat. No, screeched Lulu. Then she threw herself down on the floor and kicked her heels and waved her arms and screeched some more. Chapter 4. 4 days, 8 days, 10 days, 12 days passed. Lulu kept saying, "I want a Brontosaurus." Her mom and her dad kept on saying no. Lulu kept screeching and throwing herself on the floor and kicking her heels and waving her arms. Lulu's mom and her dad kept saying no. Until finally on the 13th day, the day before Lulu's birthday, right after lunch, Lulu said to her mom and her dad, "Okay, then, foo on you." She had terrible manners. "If you aren't going to get me a Brontosaurus, I'm going out and getting one for myself." Lulu packed a small suitcase, said goodbye to her mom and dad, and walked out the door. And they let her go, partly because they thought she'd change her mind and come running back home in about 2 minutes, and partly because it was nice to not have her screeching and kicking and waving and being a pain. "Let's have a cup of tea and a couple of cookies," Lulu's mom said to her dad. "Excellent idea," her dad replied. So they went into the kitchen and started munching on some cookies and sipping tea, and pretty soon they'd forgotten all about Lulu. Chapter 5. But Lulu hadn't forgotten that she was going to get herself a Brontosaurus. And luckily for Lulu, there was a great big forest not too far from her house. The animals in that forest had never bothered anybody because nobody had ever bothered them. But watch out, creatures! Here came Lulu trudging through the forest, swinging her small suitcase back and forth, and in a quite loud voice that was sure to wake the napping animals from their naps, singing this song. I'm gonna get a Brontosaurus for a pet. I'm gonna get a Brontosaurus for a pet. The forest that Lulu was trudging through was overgrown with trees whose branches scratched her face and whose roots she tripped over. But Lulu hardly noticed because she was thinking just one thought, and you know what that was. So on she went, swinging her suitcase and singing her song, too loud and annoying all the creatures in the forest and being the same big pain out there that she was back home in her house, until slithering down from the branch of a tree came along a fat brown black snake who had been peacefully snoozing till Lulu woke him up. Sleepy and grumpy and hissing an exceedingly nasty hiss, he wrapped himself around Lulu, around and tighter, and told her she'd really be sorry that she had awakened him. I'm going to squeeze you, Dad, he said. Okay, so snakes don't talk, but in this story they do. And Lulu said, Not if I squeeze you, Dadder. So Lulu squeezed the snake hard, and the snake yelled, Ow! And quickly unwrapped himself from Lulu. And Lulu, wiping some snake sweat from the palms of her snake-squeezing hands, went on trudging deeper into the forest.